Scenarios are to strategy what a Swiss Army knife is to survival, indispensable and versatile. But most organizations barely scratch the surface of the potential that scenarios offer. Why? Because they don't know how scenarios could offer a serious edge in being prepared for the future. They don't understand the difference between the three main types of scenarios and the strategic advantages each offers. In this video, I'll break it all down for you. What scenarios are, the three main types of scenarios, how they work, and most importantly, how you can use them. Scenarios aren't just fairy tales for corporate boardrooms. They're the Swiss Army knife of strategic planning and can change the way organizations think, plan, and act. Scenarios provide decision makers with a structured way to navigate uncertainties. They offer a tool set for understanding possible outcomes, weighing options, and making informed choices. By embracing the flexibility and multifunctionality of scenarios, organizations can better prepare for uncertainty and make strategic decisions that are resilient and future-ready. Scenarios are representations of potential futures, but not all scenarios are created equally. There are different types of scenarios which are used for different reasons and in different contexts. Just like you can use a Swiss Army knife to open a tin, saw through a plank of wood, or open a bottle of wine. Some scenarios are reactive or tactical, others are proactive or strategic. They can be structured while others are more open-ended. Some scenarios are based on data, looking at specific possible outcomes, while others are more creative, exploring imaginative visions of what could happen. There are three major types of scenarios that offer distinct perspectives on the future. Can we predict the future? While no model can guarantee certainty, there's one scenario approach that comes closer than most. Predictive scenarios have been used to tackle everything from tomorrow's weather to the future of our planet's climate. But how do they work? And just how reliable are they? Let's break it down. Predictive scenarios take a data-driven approach, using models to project current trends and historical data into the future. They can provide valuable insights into the likely trajectories of specific trends and events. But even the most sophisticated models make certain assumptions, and they rely on the present and past, so they cannot predict the future with certainty. A classic example of a predictive scenario are weather forecasts. Weather forecasts are based on analyzing past weather patterns and using complex mathematical models to understand how air, heat, and moisture move through the atmosphere. This approach allows meteorologists to make fairly accurate short-term predictions. Of course, weather forecasts can be pretty accurate for what's happening tomorrow, but about as reliable as a coin flip when it comes to next month's beach plans. Another example of predictive scenarios are the emission scenarios from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. These emission scenarios are key components of climate change projections. They outline possible future paths for greenhouse gas emissions, taking into account factors like population growth, economic development, and technological advancements. Compared to other types of scenarios, predictive scenarios offer a higher level of certainty and tend to focus on a narrower, tactical set of issues. As predictive scenarios rely on the analysis of existing data, such as historical trends or current conditions and their extrapolation into the future, they can only be used for change factors that are well documented and measurable, making them less suitable for exploring broader, more complex and highly uncertain topics. What if we could imagine completely new possibilities for the unexpected when the data is incomplete or the future feels too uncertain? In contrast to predictive scenarios, exploratory scenarios venture into uncharted territory, exploring a wide range of plausible futures with a strong qualitative component, and often combined with participatory approaches involving various stakeholders. They are like a creative brainstorming session for the future, as they encourage creative thinking and challenge existing assumptions. This allows decision makers and stakeholders to expand their understanding of potential outcomes and their implications. The uncertainty of the change factors that form the basis of the scenarios tends to be high, and therefore the scenarios are used in a more strategic process compared to predictive scenarios. The benefits of exploratory scenarios are that they provide the flexibility to construct different storylines, that you can cover a wide range of change factors and their outcomes. They can also be used for topics where there is little data or where the nature of the problem is still unclear. The future doesn't just happen. It's something that you can create with the right strategy. Imagine being in control of how your future unfolds. Think of normative scenarios as your personalized blueprint to the future. You can plan what the future should look like. Normative scenarios focus on defining a desirable future. They are like designing your dream house. Sure, it might have a pool on the roof and a pet unicorn in the backyard, but hey, aim high, right? These scenarios help shape strategies and policies that align with a preferred outcome, providing guidance for making decisions that drive progress towards that desired future. They are proactive in that you develop your desirable future rather than reacting to possible futures. Backcasting allows participants to develop concrete actions to achieve the desirable future, and relatively certain, as once the normative future has been decided upon, then the future should be achievable. So now that you know about the different types of scenarios, one big question remains: what can you do with them? Just like any good tool, the real value of scenarios comes from how you use them. They offer a multifunctional approach to navigating uncertainty, making strategic decisions, just like a Swiss Army knife for strategy. Scenario planning helps leaders and teams stay flexible, ensuring they are not locked into a single, linear path. It promotes strategic agility, the ability to quickly adapt to new information. Understanding the versatility of scenarios is just the first step. To truly make the most of them, you need to know how to use them. Here's how you can apply these powerful tools to your strategic decision-making process. Scenarios aren't just abstract concepts. They're tools that bring future possibilities into our present conversations, so we can actually engage with them in real time. Think of it like this. Imagine you're on a road trip. You have a destination in mind, but the road is full of twists and turns, and you don't know exactly what's around the bend. The journey itself becomes a chance to explore possibilities and learn more about yourself, the road, and the world around you. That's what scenarios do. They allow us to explore different paths ahead, to challenge assumptions, and to ask, what if the road isn't as predictable as we think? When we create scenarios, especially exploratory ones, they push us out of our comfort zones. They force us to rethink the business as usual mindset and encourage deeper reflection. They challenge us to question what we take for granted and to confront the possibility that the future might look very different from what we expect. Let's take an example. Imagine a team working on a project. They've been following the same routine for years, relying on past experiences to guide them. But when they dive into scenario planning, they realize that some of their old assumptions, like their target audience's preferences or the technologies they rely on, may no longer hold up. Through exploring different futures, they not only see new opportunities, but they also uncover potential pitfalls that they hadn't even considered before. Scenarios are important inputs for the development of strategies. Let's break it down. Imagine you're working in a tech company. The industry's constantly shifting, and new competitors are emerging all the time. Instead of just reacting to market changes, your team uses scenarios to explore what could happen, for instance, if AI takes over certain sectors or if consumer behavior drastically shifts. By mapping out these possibilities, you can craft a strategy that's not just resilient, but proactive, positioning your company ahead of the curve. This is where foresight-driven strategy formulation comes in. It's about empowering your organization to shape its own future rather than just being a passenger in the ride. When you leverage scenarios, you're actively anticipating and preparing for the future. Here's the thing, most strategies are designed for today. But what if the future doesn't look anything like today? This is where scenarios come in. They're like a dynamic playground where you can test your strategies across a variety of possible futures, helping you see how well your plans would hold up under different conditions. Think of it like wind tunneling for airplanes. Just like engineers test an aircraft's design by simulating different weather conditions, organizations can use scenarios to test their strategies. By running them through various futures, whether that's economic shifts, technological disruptions, or changing customer preferences, decision makers get to see how their strategies would perform in those scenarios. By subjecting your strategy to these scenarios, you can uncover potential weaknesses before they become real problems. Have you ever made a tough decision and wondered, what if I'm choosing the wrong path? Well, what if you could test out your options first before making that important call? When it comes to critical decisions, we all know that the stakes can be high. You've got options, but which one's the right one? That's where scenarios come in. They're helping you explore the potential outcomes of different choices by testing them across multiple futures. Think about it. When you're faced with a major decision, it's not just about picking the option that looks the best on paper. You want to know what could go right, and what could go wrong. By running your decisions through different scenarios, you're basically stress testing them against potential risks, rewards, and consequences. It's like putting your choices in a what-if simulator to see how they would hold up. This is informed decision-making at its finest. Scenarios give you a clearer picture of how each option might play out, so you can make the smartest choice. So, what decisions are you facing right now? How could running them through different scenarios change your approach? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Now you know about different types of scenarios and what to use them for, but if you want to make the most of them, you need to know how to go about creating them. So watch this video on the 3 most common techniques for building exploratory scenarios and learn how to choose the one that fits your objectives best.